If you haven't tried floating, it is amazing. It is liquid love for your mind and your body. If you've heard of it, but you haven't tried it yet, I encourage you to seek it out. And if you don't know what it is, allow me to enlighten you. Floating is essentially immersing yourself in an Epsom salt bath that contains about 1,000 pounds of salt, which essentially means that you're floating on top of it. So depending on where you go, you will probably enter into a pod or a small room where you're going to slip your body into the water, stretch out, and float for about 30 to 60 minutes. I've done it 4 times now, and I'm a big fan of the relaxation it induces, but even more so of the subtle, powerful reset it does on your nervous system and how it alleviates muscle pain. If you're new here, hello, I'm Dr. Karutha Yeager, sharing tips and advice on navigating your spiritual awakening and feeling good in your body while doing it. And if that sounds like you, please subscribe. Floating means that you are buoyant. There is more salt in the water than is in your physical body. Therefore, you won't sink. And really, most of these places the water's only like 10 or 12 inches deep. It's not deep at all. And it is like being in a zero gravity like environment, which is great for your spine and your muscles. You know that feeling that you get after a massage where your mind is a little fuzzy and your body feels super relaxed? You can reach that state with floating. It's amazing. Besides being relaxed and feeling good because your brain releases increased levels of dopamine and endorphins, here are some other benefits, even more impressive for your health and health affirming effects of floating. Relaxation activation. Floating in a zero gravity like environment allows the cerebrospinal fluid, the fluid in your spine, to gently move in a way that it usually doesn't. This helps to down-regulate the nervous system's fight or flight response and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for relaxation and healing. Not having to fight gravity actually allows your muscles, joints, and bones to take a well-deserved break. And because of that, your body suddenly has resources usually used in supporting your weight, regulating your temperature, not answering emails, which it gets to focus on things like healing and resting. Heightened senses. Research tells us that floating can increase your 5 senses, even temporarily. And I actually saw this with my mom after her first time floating. She could better hear my sister talking in the other room and hear the TV when the volume was really, really low. It was wild. Pain management. Pain management is something that floating can help with, from tight muscles and arthritis to back pain and tendinitis, things like that. Magnesium, like the magnesium sulfate in the float tanks, Epsom salts, is wonderful internally and externally to decrease inflammation. So decreasing pain is a no-brainer because the concentration of Epsom salts is so high and it soaks in through your skin. And it is something that we are all deficient in. And if you've seen me as an acupuncture patient, you know magnesium is one of my all-time favorites supplements because it does so many wonderful things in the body, like regulating high blood pressure, decreasing muscle cramps, provides PMS relief, creates healthier bones and teeth. It supports the electrical conductivity of the heart. It is good stuff. Increased stress resistance. So this means that you become resistant to the stimulus of chronic stressors in your environment or through your lifestyle. And it means that your body does not react to the stressors quite as much as it used to. This is really important for light workers, empaths, HSPs, and really anyone on the spiritual awakening path, because you have to be able to let go of what is not yours energetically and physiologically and get back to your nervous system set point. And there are many ways to do that. Floating is one of them. Meditation. You know I love meditation. I'm a big proponent of it and all of its health benefits. And floating simulates a similar mental state in that you're awake, but you're really relaxed. And so the theta brainwaves are responsible for that between wake and sleep state that you naturally get every night and you naturally experience every night before you fall asleep. So while you're only aware of it for a couple moments in bed, you can actually achieve a prolonged theta state in a float tank, which is, usually those prolonged states are only seen in like kids and people who regularly meditate. Chronic stressor relief. The tank's environment eliminates as much external input as possible, and it lets your nervous system literally have a timeout. If you live in a city or somewhere where there's a constant buzz, you know that your nervous system does not get to take a break. And so being in a float tank is a really great way to take a timeout. Less stress is always better. There are more benefits, but these points summarize my favorite reasons to float. And if you can't go to a float facility, use your own bathtub. Obviously, you won't be able to put 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts in your tub, but you can still put 2 to 4 cups that will still benefit you in a really great way. So if you like this video, please subscribe if you found it helpful. Happy floating. Have a great week.